Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a topic that is absolutely critical for any leader right now: how to take all this data that's flooding our businesses and actually use it to make better, smarter, more strategic decisions. Let's get right into it. You ever feel like this? It's a super common problem. In today's business world, we're just swimming in this massive ocean of data, right? We track every click, every sale, every little social media mention. But having all that stuff is one thing. Turning it into something you can actually use, an insight that tells you what to do next, well, that's a whole different ballgame. You know, a great way to think about this is with an analogy. All the data you collect, it's like a pile of raw ore or a forest of uncut timber. In that raw state, it's just potential. The real value, the magic, happens in the refinery. That's the process where you analyze it, shape it, and turn it into something truly priceless, a real, actionable insight.
So if we're going to talk about the refinery, we have to start with the raw material itself. Let's take a look at what we call big data and what makes it so different, so powerful, and honestly, such a challenge.
Now, when we say big data, we're not just talking about, bigger spreadsheets. No way. We are talking about absolutely massive, often messy, complicated sets of data that are pouring in from all over the place. From your website, from social media, customer transactions, even audio and video files. It's just a totally different scale of information. So to really get our heads around big data, there's this handy framework called the 5 V's. These 5 things are what really define its power and also its challenges. Think of them as the 5 dimensions you've got to master. Okay, so the first 2 V's are all about scale and speed. First, you've got volume. Pretty simple. The more data you have, the more confident you can be in your analysis. It gives your findings statistical weight. But then there's velocity, and this is a game changer. Data isn't from last quarter anymore. It's coming at you from last second. This lets you make decisions in real time, which is just a massive competitive edge.
Next up is variety, and this is where things get really interesting. We've moved way beyond neat little rows and columns. Modern data is often unstructured. It's the text from customer reviews, it's social media chatter, it's photos, even videos. Now, yeah, this stuff is harder to analyze, but it gives you such a richer, more complete picture of what's actually going on.
And the last 2 V's kind of tie it all together. First, veracity. This one is crucial. It basically asks, can you even trust this data? Is it clean? Is it reliable? Because if your data is garbage, your insights will be garbage. It's that simple. And all of this leads to the most important V of all: value. This is the whole point, right? Data is only useful if it helps you answer the big questions and creates a real, tangible advantage for your business. Okay, so we've got our raw material, big data, with all its V's. So how do we actually refine it? Well, this is where we get into data analytics. This is the engine room where all that raw data gets turned into insight. And there are really 3 key ways to do it, each one building on the last. Think of these 3 as a journey, almost like leveling up. You start with descriptive analytics. This is like looking in the rearview mirror. It organizes your data to tell you very clearly what happened in the past. Then you level up to predictive analytics. This uses all that past data and clever models to forecast what could happen next. Now you're not just reacting, you're anticipating. But the final level, the holy grail, is prescriptive analytics. This is the most powerful because it doesn't just predict what might happen, it runs a bunch of simulations and actually recommends specific actions you should take to get the best possible outcome. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but let's make it real. I want to walk you through a quick example to show you how this stuff can uncover a really serious problem that you would have otherwise completely missed. So imagine you're the leader of a company. You're looking at the top-line sales numbers, and everything looks fine, stable. No big alarms are going off. But is everything really okay? Let's see what happens when we use some of that descriptive analysis to dig just a little bit deeper. Okay, now look at this table. This is what we find when we drill down into one specific store and one specific product. See that sales column? It's totally flat, $1,200 every single period. If you were just looking at the high-level numbers, you'd move on. But wait, look at the cost of sales column right next to it. It's creeping up and up and up, from $800 to $1,000. And that is absolutely crushing the gross profit margin, which tanks from a healthy 33% all the way down to 17%. Something is going seriously wrong here.
And boom, there it is, the aha moment. The analysis didn't just tell you profits are down. No, it pointed a giant flashing arrow at a very specific problem. We're talking potential inventory loss or even theft in a very specific store. See? This isn't just data anymore. It's a direct command for a leader. Go investigate here,
right now. Which brings us to what might be the most important piece of this whole puzzle. The technology is amazing, it's powerful, but it's basically useless without the right kind of human leadership to guide it and, maybe just as importantly, to question it.
A huge part of being a data-driven leader is having a healthy dose of skepticism. Data is great at showing you patterns and correlations, but it can't always explain why they're happening. And mistaking correlation for causation, well, that's a classic trap. Let me show you what I mean with a quick story.
So imagine an analyst comes to you and shows you this chart. It shows a really strong connection. When the price of petrol goes up, motorcycle helmet sales also go up. The correlation is undeniable. So the question is, does a higher petrol price directly cause people to buy more helmets? It sounds a little weird, doesn't it?
And yeah, your gut would be right. You should be skeptical, because even though these two things are absolutely connected, one does not directly cause the other. And this is exactly where a leader needs to step in and ask that critical question. Okay, what's the real story here? What are we not seeing?
Because the real story, the one you find when you dig a little, has a hidden middle step. Here's what's actually happening. Rising petrol prices cause more people to buy fuel-efficient motorcycles to save money. And because you're required by law to have a helmet when you buy a motorcycle, helmet sales go up as a direct result of more motorcycles being sold. The data wasn't wrong, but it took that human insight to find the true cause.
So you see, the leader's job in all of this isn't to be the data scientist. Their job is to ask the right questions from the very beginning. It's to look at the results with that healthy skepticism. It's to make sure that data is being used ethically and responsibly. And it's to protect the company against the new kinds of risks that come with all this data, like privacy breaches and theft.
And that's really the bottom line here. Big data, fancy analytics, these are incredibly powerful tools. They might be the most powerful tools in business today. But just like any tool, how well it works depends entirely on the skill of the person using it. It's that insightful, critical, and responsible leadership that truly unlocks the value.
So we end up right back where we started, but now with a totally new perspective. The data is pouring into your business every single second. The tools to analyze it are more powerful and accessible than they've ever been. So the only real question left is the one for you, the leader. How are you going to take that raw material and forge it into your company's most valuable asset?